it was a huge, huge step. It was so scary and such a sacrifice to walk away from everything and to move into this tiny home out in the middle of nowhere, having no idea whether or not I would like this. But we said yes to the call of God, and we said yes to the life and the picture that we wanted. And we just believed that the details would fall into place and that God would provide if this was what He had for us.
You're listening to the Naturally Noelle Show, brought to you by Noelle's Naturals, all natural products that really work. And now, please welcome entrepreneur, wife, homeschooling mom of 4, and founder of the Noelle's Naturals brand of products, your host, Noelle Talley.
Well, hello and welcome back to what is now season 2 of the Naturally Noelle Show. This is Noelle Talley, the owner and founder of Noelle's Naturals and mom and homesteader now. So, I gotta say, I've really been delaying getting this podcast back up. One, because we had a very busy summer and winter season, and it's just been crazy and I've been busy. But 2, because I really just try to put a lot into these episodes. I try to research and really know my stuff before getting on here and talking to you guys. And that takes time, and I've just been too busy to really put the work in that I really feel is necessary to give you guys quality episodes. And the other issue is that I really want to have fantastic guests. We had so many amazing guests last season, and I have so many really cool people lined up for this season, but it's just so hard because a lot of the people I interview are also moms and entrepreneurs and businesswomen, and it's so hard getting it scheduled and figuring it out. So I thought, you know what, if I don't just sit down by myself behind the microphone and just start talking, I am never going to get this thing back up off the ground. So here we are. I'm just home today on a Tuesday afternoon. My baby is napping and my kids are at homeschool co-op, my older kids, and I had a few minutes and I thought, let's do this thing. Let's just sit down. And I just, I don't know if any of you listen to the Sally Clarkson podcast, but she is just fantastic. It's called At Home with Sally. And she just sits down by herself and just kind of shares what's on her heart and what God's been teaching her and little things she's picked up on the way. And sometimes it's a long podcast and sometimes it's not. And sometimes she has more time to put in, more amazing information. And other times it's just, where she is that week. And so I thought, you know what, let's pull on our inner Sally and just kind of sit down alone and just chat. I just would love to talk with you guys about what's been going on. So all that to say, let's dive into what I've been doing. So about a year and a half ago, my sister had been looking at rural properties in rural Florida, and just looking to get some land and some space to have animals and just kind of live a quiet and simple farm life. And that's really kind of just been a dream of hers for quite a while. And she had been looking and really hadn't found the right thing. And my husband and I, we really sat down one night. I remember the night sitting in our home in Clearwater, Florida, and just talking about our goals and our dreams for the future, and just kind of taking into account everything that's going on in the world, all the changes that are happening globally and politically, and, what that could look like in the future for us, for our children, for our liberties, for medical freedom, for, the freedom to homeschool your children, for the ability to eat and grow food that is clean and safe and not engineered. And these are all things that we just talked about were important to us. We wanted to raise our children simply and away from the distractions of the world. We both grew up in relatively rural communities, not a ton of people and just kind of quiet country back roads. And we both grew up poor, and, our parents worked hard to make something of themselves and to get us to a point where we could get educations and do more. And we're at a place in our lives where both of our businesses are very successful, and we had kind of found ourselves in this yuppie lifestyle that we had not really set out to live. We were in this great house in this amazing community, probably way more house than we would ever need, and the pool and the lawn and the, housekeeping service and the, all of the little things that, make up a, successful life. This is what it looks like, the big house and the pretty yard. And we had done a few things in our yard. We had built a garden and started to do that. We had gotten some chickens, and we were trying our best in this, neighborhood with not very large lots to have a little bit of that more simple life. But we really kind of wanted more. We didn't want our children growing up so privileged. And that may sound strange, especially if you're not in a position of privilege. But when we came from hard work and not having much and not being able to get every single thing that we wanted delivered to our house, overnight by a drone from Amazon, we grew up in a different time, and that gave us some values and some character and work ethic that we were concerned our children weren't getting. Even though we are so intentional to try to teach them that, there's just something about living that life of privilege in that kind of community that you can't get, that you can get in a more simple area, in a more quiet area. So we had decided to purchase property. My sister and I found my sister and my husband found something that looked good, and we came out and took a look. And I just thought we were just coming to just kind of see what was out there. But they really had different plans. And when we came out to look, they both just kind of fell in love with this land. And I was not so sure, but, we went ahead and put an offer in, and it was accepted. And then a couple days later, they came back and told us that actually the offer had fallen through. There was actually another offer for more, and so we had lost the property, and we were a little disappointed. We had made some offers on some other land and got under contract, but my sister really felt very strongly about this piece of land, and she continued to pray about it, and honestly, she just prayed that the deal would fall through with the other buyer, and it did. And they gave us a call and said, hey, the property is available, and offered us terms that were even better than what we had been offered in the first place, or what we had offered. And it ended up just being perfect. We got an insanely good price, and my sister bought part of the land with us, so we were really able to come up with the money to do this. And it was kind of a cool thing. There were cows on the land already, so we purchased the cows with the land, and we were kind of thrown into cattle ownership and what that entails, and we learned a lot very quickly. It was October when we bought the land, and it started to get really cold. We did not know that you have to stock up hay for the winter, even in Florida. So we were scrambling to try to find hay for our cows and just kind of learn how to do that. And it was interesting. And so in my mind, this was just kind of this fun experiment. And, maybe we might build a cabin or something, and it would be a family retreat and a place that we would come to visit, and just have a place outside the city to go when we wanted to have a quiet weekend getaway. And then, we started to talk about, we had that conversation about what we really wanted. And my husband suggested, what if we lived out here? And it's about an hour north from our, community where the Noelle's Naturals headquarters is, and where our church was, and where my parents live. And so, that meant a very big shift for us, changing communities completely. And I was not really interested in that. And my husband really felt strongly that this was something that he thought that we should do. And I was kind of freaked out. I was not at all ready to make that decision. My head was not quite there yet. I wish I could say that it was. I wish I could say that this had always been my lifelong dream to have a homestead. And I know so many of you that is, and so many people that have been following us and seeing our pictures on Instagram have said, oh my gosh, you're living my dream. while I can't say that this was my dream, I think I've always been kind of beguiled by the idea of a simple and quiet country life, but the actual doing it was quite a different experience for me, and not exactly something that I was thrilled to jump into right away. But, we looked at the numbers and we realized that we couldn't keep our house and build something out here. So if we wanted to build something, we needed to go all in and move out here in a temporary home and consider building something long term, if that was really what we wanted to do. And so my husband said, what would you think if we got like a mobile home and, we could get that set up right away and just lived in that temporarily until we built a house? And I just was not at all interested in that. We had a really big house with lots and lots of space and lots of things and, plenty of empty drawers and cabinets to stuff more things. And the house that we were considering was quite a bit smaller than what we had before. Honestly, not that small. I mean, compared to what a lot of people live in, is still quite first world and quite comfortable. But, when you're used to that lifestyle, it's just a big shift. So I just kind of fell apart and cried. And I was like, no, I don't want to do that. I like my house. I like my life here. I like that I'm close to work. And we were really kind of at an impasse. And I talked to my friend Kim about it, and she said, we're going to pray. We're going to pray that God will change Adam's mind if you are not on board, or that he will change your mind. And so that's what we did. We prayed, and somehow, I can't explain it, my heart and my mind was changed. I know it was God. I know that God changed my heart and my mind and suddenly made this something that I knew that was God's plan for us to do. So I came to Adam a few weeks later and I said, I think we should do this. And, I think if we sold our house, we could, get a mobile home for a really great price, and we would not be in debt, and, we would be in a really good position financially. And, with economic uncertainty on the horizon, that seemed like a really good thing. And so we said, okay, let's do it. So we started the process of getting a house brought out to our land. And boy, was that an undertaking. When you have raw land that is completely undeveloped, you really have to bring in everything. We had to have a well dug. We had to have a septic tank put in. We had to have dirt brought in to level the place where our home would be. We had to have power lines brought in, just everything you can imagine. You really have to start from scratch. And so it was a really big process, not to mention all of the permitting and everything that goes with that. So it was a lot. And so I said, okay, when are we going to sell our house? And my husband said, I'm following the market. I will let you know when I think it's the right time. And about 3 weeks later, he said, I think it's time. And I was, again, very shocked. I wasn't ready for it to move that quickly, but he said, I think we need to do it by the end of the month. I think right now is the right time. And so I prayed about it, and I felt like God was in it. And so I said, okay, let's do this. We put our house on the market. It sold in 10 hours. It was just absolutely unbelievable. We got an offer just that blew our minds, over asking price. So many people in the last year have just been flocking to Florida from Illinois and California and New York in search of really freedom, because Florida is such a free state, and that's really important to a lot of people, including us. And so, our house sold, and we had a very quick closing date. And so, unfortunately, our home on our land was not ready yet. So we sold our house. We put everything in storage. We got rid of probably half of our belongings. We sold a lot of furniture. We got rid of a ton of clothes. We really just downsized and simplified and really got down to basics. and we moved into Airbnbs for the summer. I originally thought it was only going to be about 4 weeks, so I booked an Airbnb for 4 weeks, and that was not enough time. So we had to leave that Airbnb because it was someone else had booked it after us, so we couldn't stay there any longer. We had to move to another Airbnb, stayed there for another, I think 8 or 9 weeks, and it was a long summer. It was tough living, what it taught me was that even as much as we had downsized and put things in storage to bring to our new home, we brought even less to the rentals. And I just realized I just don't need as much as I think I do. We just had about 8 or 10 outfits each for the kids and just, a few outfits for us. We had a few toys, a few books, and that was about it. Just a couple kitchen items that we needed, for bread baking and things like that. But other than that, we really just simplified and just had a very minimal summer. And then finally our home was ready and we moved out to the farm. This was in August of 2021. What year are we in? 2023? So August of 2022. Gosh, the last 3 years have been a blur, haven't they? Since 2020, I can't even tell you what year it is. But so we moved here. We moved to the farm. We got our chicken coop set up. My husband has become very handy and has built all kinds of fun things out here. We have 18 chickens and we have so many eggs, and we are now, able to provide eggs for our friends and family and people in the community, which has been great. We have 18 cows right now. They're, pregnant and having babies, and we've got little calves, and it's just really cool to get to see kind of that life cycle, and for the children to get to see how that works and to see the new babies being born. It's just been really cool. We live on a long dirt road and it's country. It's really country out here, and I can't explain it to you how leaving what is certainly a much nicer home, and our home now is just fine. It's just what we need, but it is not fancy and it's nothing extra. It's literally just what we need. We've got 3 bedrooms and 4 kids, and the kids are bunked up and they're sharing, and we don't have a garage. We have a small shed for, some lawn tools and bicycles and things like that, but we don't have much space to store extra things. So we have what we need, and that's it. And it's just so countercultural. It's so countercultural because I certainly could afford the big fancy house, and we did it. We did the thing that you do when, you're successful, but we gave it up for a couple reasons. One, out of obedience to God, because I really just feel so strongly that this is what He was calling us to. And I see now why. But, we just wanted to get rid of all of the excess and just pare down to a simple and quiet life where we have just what we need. And it has been amazing. We don't have internet out here, which was a surprise. I didn't realize that we wouldn't have internet. We have hotspots on our phones, so we're able to have intermittent internet as needed. But, we can't run the TV all the time. Not that we really did a whole lot before, but, the kids have to ask permission if they want to watch a show, and we have limited amounts of data from our phone, so we can't just stream for hours and hours and hours. So we're on devices way less. The kids are outside playing way more. It's safe and quiet and remote, so we don't have a lot of people around, so the kids can just go outside and play and be, free without adult supervision, without people over them, telling them, oh, don't do this, don't do that, don't climb on that. They're able to make, do dangerous things carefully and test their own bodies and make decisions about, problem solving. And it's just been so good for them. It was like a light bulb went off with our daughter, who was really having a hard time just, regulating her emotions. And we were really struggling with her a lot. And the second we moved out here, she was like a different kid. She's just so happy and so much more well-regulated. And our family is closer. We spend more time, just intentional time, playing cards or dancing or baking bread together. And the kids love collecting the eggs, and they have chores. We kind of had not done a good job of giving them chores before. I'm sort of ashamed to say, we had a lot of help. We had a housekeeper and we had a lawn service, and we had a lot of those luxuries that are really just not necessary. It's just what everyone else in our neighborhood did, and so we did it. And I'm a lot more hands-on now. I'm involved in my home in a way that I wasn't before. The kids are involved in the home. We all work together. It's just a night and day difference. So all of this to say, we've had quite a busy summer and fall. The kids are doing a homeschool co-op that is like 10 minutes from our house, which is just insane because we live out in the middle of the country. Who would, imagine there would be a homeschool co-op, but there's a great one. So they're there two afternoons a week, and they're making friends and learning so much. And it's been so good. It's been good for all of us. And I never thought I would give all these things up and be more happy, but I am. And so, yeah, that's where we are right now. And so I just wanted to share that with you and encourage you that if you're feeling busy, if you're feeling like you're chasing this goal or this dream, or that you're supposed to have your life look a certain way, or you're comparing yourself to other people or what they have, just sit down with your partner. Just, if you don't have a partner, sit down and have a real honest conversation with yourself about who you want to be and who you want your children to be, and what your goal is in your life, and what your family mission is. What are you trying to become? What are you growing toward? And do what you have to do to make that happen. I mean, we made a huge sacrifice, and looking back, my husband he's phenomenally talented with economics and finances and the market and following those things. And looking back, between his wisdom and just following the voice of the Lord, we sold our house at the exact right time to get the maximum value for our home. And we couldn't leave that money on the table. It was too good of a deal for us to stay in that house. And so we walked away. We walked away completely debt free too. And it was so scary and such a sacrifice to walk away from everything and to move into this tiny home out in the middle of nowhere, having no idea whether or not I would like this. But we said yes to the call of God, and we said yes to the life and the picture that we wanted. And we just believed that the details would fall into place and that God would provide if this was what he had for us. And little by little that has happened. And there's still so much more we want to do out here, and so much more we have to learn. And honestly, I don't know if we'll ever build that house. We have a beautiful plan drawn up that, that's the idea, is to have a beautiful farmhouse. But the more I live in this little house here, the more I realize, gosh, I just don't need it. And we could really put our resources to different things that would certainly be a lot more beneficial to our community and the world. And so I don't know, maybe we'll build the house, maybe we won't, but we sure are happy here. So my encouragement would just be to just do the hard things. Do what it takes. Make whatever sacrifices you have to make. Be willing to just rake it all up, to be better, to do better, and to do what God's calling you to do. So I don't know what this season is going to look like. It may look like a lot of me just coming on here and just chatting with you guys and just sharing with you what I'm learning and maybe different things like that. I would love to have your feedback and see if this is at all helpful to you. I just wanted to get rolling. So I do have some amazing guests this season that hopefully I can figure out how to schedule time to get them on here. But for now, I just wanted to check in with you guys. I would love to hear from you on social media. Be sure to follow us on Instagram and Facebook and connect with me. I read the comments, I read the messages. You can email me. You can message us through the website and just get in touch with us. We really, this year, would love to start to build a community. It's not just about our products. It's not just about selling things to people, but we really just want to empower women to follow their dreams and to not just, use non-toxic products, but just to get rid of any toxic thought patterns in your life and toxic behaviors, and really just simplifying and cleaning everything up. So if you're with me, please, contact us through Instagram, through social media, and reach out and connect with us. Thank you so much for being here today. I'll talk to you soon. Bye. Thanks so much for tuning in to the Naturally Noelle Show, empowering you to live a more natural life, one step at a time.